basically two presentations before the evening party: biometry, security and vulnerability of biometry. During the course of the presentation, we'll be discussing the whole notion of biometry and the context in which it operates, but of course it is best if we introduce ourselves and I tell you what we are going to be about here. We will present to you our institute, and then we will also present to you which areas of science our institute deals with, what research we conduct, and then we will talk about the vulnerability of the palm identifier. I'll leave that to Csaba. This shows you where we actually come from. Óbuda University. The Óbuda University, for all those who don't know, it was born out of the merger of such institutions like the Neumann, Kandó, Banki. These were all former colleges. All different colleges, and also we actually are at the Banki faculty. We represent the Banki faculty, and we're very happy to see that there's many other colleagues from the Óbuda University, either from Neumann or from Kandó, presenting here. And within Banki there is this applied biometry institute that deals with a lot of things, although there is, it is not really my task to list everyone, because our work is basically a teamwork and it's not about individual efforts. So I have to introduce to you our team. Otti Csaba, who actually could be dubbed in different ways, but he is really the scientific father. Arnold Őszi and István Milák, and in his absence I have to mention Dr. Professor Tibor Kovács, who actually has been dealing with biometrics for the past 10 years within Banki. I think he has absolutely huge results in the fact that we've been able to deal with biometrics. And without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Csaba Otti.
Szép napot kívánok mindenkinek, tegeződhetünk?
I'll remain with the first name basis. There's two things I'd like to tell you before I really start out. First of all, that this is a teamwork. If it goes well, it's my merit. If anything goes bad, it's their problem. And also, just like last year, we will also need a volunteer. I really want someone to be a volunteer here. We will be stealing their, there's nothing else, we'll be stealing their personality. Nothing else. András already told you the three topics that we'll be talking about. And I would like to introduce to you the kind of activity that we are doing. I've seen all the presentations, very high quality presentations. There's very few conferences where we see such high quality presentations. And of course I really have to start thinking, where should I place ourselves? We have IT security here, we have all sorts of software vulnerability, network protection, all this belonging to IT security. And then there is the lock pickers. Of course there is the mechanical protection required in my house so that people cannot or should not be able to come in. What we deal with is electronic security systems, card-based systems, alarms,
De beszélhetnénk egyébként egyéb elektronikus mechanikai védelemről, például
and all other electronic systems that we could talk about, camera systems. Our topic today is primarily biometry. And in the theory part, I would not like to just stick to this, because I think it's better if we keep a wider perspective. And from what I've seen in the presentations, I don't think we'll be showing you anything new, because Balázs, one of Balázs Mucsai on NFC technology was precisely coinciding with our work. We will only have to rely on his work when we go on ABI tests. Why is it that we need to test the different systems? Trivial sentence is that technology is more advanced than knowledge. It's so much true nowadays that we cannot keep up. At the personal level, we cannot just keep up with the technology development pace. Let's assume that, for example, we are knowledgeable about something, let's say some sort of a security system, but, for example, I really don't know how to build fences, or I cannot pour freeze-resistant concrete. I don't know how to use the microwave oven, because I'm sure a microwave oven is also vulnerable. Let my wife deal with that. But anyway, I think we can safely accept that technology is much more developed than knowledge itself is. And I'll tell you why. Because then we cannot really make decisions, knowledgeable decisions. Who is the person who really fully knows and investigates every single aspect of a technical device? I think, practically speaking, there is no such person. We don't have the capacity. We don't have the time. So what can we do? We ask our friends. We ask anyone who has experience in this. Or we just read what the manufacturer writes about it. What he promises about the device. Unfortunately, and I don't think you will contest this, sometimes what is written does not coincide with the truth. Very shining example of this was NFC and the whole PayPass bank cards. They actually say that this is encrypted communication between the card and the device, the card and the reader. It is not. It is not encrypted. It could read without any problem. We are doing such vulnerability tests also. We haven't studied the NFC yet. I was quite surprised that this is so simple to actually break. Problem is that the bank and the association says that this is the secure solution, and we know that this is not the case. There is no independent certification institute for these devices. We want to become such an institute one day, and what we're seeing in this market is that everybody wants to be able to say big things. You know, our fingerprint scanner can store 10,000 fingerprints. In Hungary, there's perhaps, you just don't need it. So why do you have to say that it can store? A company with 100 people, why does it need anything that can store 10,000 thumbprints? And it doesn't work, actually. We have tested such devices, and we found that above 500 users, identification goes above 10 seconds, and 70% is rejection. So it's useless. It worked until 200 people. It worked until 200 thumbprints. We have this, I don't know if you've seen that Hungarian film, when one of the actors is running after the woman. I've never had it so good. I've never had it so good. And you read the data sheet, everything is included there. What kind of examples can we come up with? The NVR, I don't know if you know it. This is the network video recorder. I'm citing this example because we've seen it not quite recently in a tender, where there was a tender for an IP camera system. I don't know. IP cameras have started to flood the market. Everybody is looking for selling IP cameras, and yes, it has never been so good. Well, network video recorder is this gray box. You link a lot of cameras to it, it stores the images, perhaps even displays them somewhere else. Up to 64 cameras, that is what the data sheet says. I love the up to, the notion of up to. This is the value that you never achieve under normal operating circumstances. Up to 64 cameras. Normal everyday user, what do you think? It means I can connect 64 cameras and it will record them. And knowing the price, I really had my doubts, but then a decision maker who actually reads these documents, they don't have to be experts actually in the given topic. All the more so because I don't know if you've ever seen this. I know that we have people from big companies and from banks also. Typically, professional work and procurement is separated. A procurement person does not have to be an expert at all, because they are dealing with everything from toilet paper through stationery through to routers and softwares. Let the professionals do it. But when they see the different data sheets that would, in theory, substantiate that this is up to, how will the person decide? He will decide on the basis of price. So let's get back to it. Up to 5 megapixels. So it is capable of storing 5 megapixel pictures. 64 cameras times 5 megapixels. That's fantastic. Small print, up to 160 megabits per second. I don't know what megabit per second means, I can't interpret it, but okay, I've really done my reading. It means that this small thing is actually capable of maximum data transfer capacity of 160 megabit per second. With all the hard disk running, this is how many it can how much it can record code onto, and then let's start counting. 1 megapixel camera. It's basically it's becoming in the field of IP cameras, this seems to be one of the best compression methods, the H.264. So at a medium setting with 20 frames per second, it actually requires 10 megabits per second per bit bandwidth. Okay, now, if let's say the everyday user knows this, multiply it. How many cameras can you put on the up to 160? 16. I hope you knew. But if I thought it was 5 megapixel, perhaps I can only link 5 and only 25 FPS. The problem is, we audited this tender document and we had to throw out this bidder, and I think this bidder should be happy that we did, because God forbid they should have supplied it. They could not have supplied a functioning system. Let's go on. Vulnerability study. Security systems. They don't do these. I don't know if you have such experiences. What we usually say is anyone is capable of doing good hardware, cannot do good software, and the other way around. Anyone who is not capable of delivering systems, good systems, that can communicate with the users. This is not a topic for today, albeit it could be a topic of a separate discussion. One thing is for sure, for security devices, let's say an alarm at home, the home alarm where you actually just punch in the key on the wall, where I want to set it, where I want to deactivate it, these are not studied in any way. And I think this is a very, very, very serious problem. We can make our systems as safe as possible from an IT point of view. And the world is going in this direction, and I like this world, and I like what is happening. We can safeguard, protect our buildings mechanically with thick walls, with all sorts of steel reinforcement, and we can even build a moat around them. That would seem to be the best idea. However, electronic systems, entry systems, camera systems, alarm systems are never studied from this point of view. Why is it important? Intelligent crime is...
Erre csak ilyen példákat szeretnék mondani, hogy nem tudom, hogy tudják-e, hogy például Magyarországon tavaly hány darab sikeres bankrablás történt.
I don't know how many, if you know how many successful bank robberies took place last year. 7 successful bank robberies. On average, 400,000 forints were robbed, and all of them were caught.
És 10 év közötti eredményt fog jelenteni nekik a...
And that is, they're looking at 5 to 10 years. The problem is banks have completely pushed criminals out of the bank offices. We heard last year the whole media was full of people ripping ATMs out of the wall. They put in the cartridges, the paint cartridges. The same thing happened with all the time lock mechanisms. So robbers are not doing it. They have to start. They have to go on. Of course, they start. You know, they might be stealing 5,000 forints from old ladies, but they might start to become more intelligent and go towards intelligent crime. We cooperate with the manufacturers, and I have to tell you that the device that we will be presenting today, we have contacted the manufacturer already. They had a very correct attitude to the story, I will tell you. Why is vulnerability study important? It is important because I want to refer back to Balázs's presentation. If we believe that this card is safe that we got from the bank, it's no problem, but we've just seen for ourselves that this is not the case. And this is true for all card systems, proximity technology. I think 50–70% of all entry systems are like this. All you have to do is just pass them, and you can even copy them. Basically, these can be copied. The other such issue, of course, our presentation is about this, is biometry, the security of biometry. We actually believe, because no one said, no one studied, I'm showing you this, I want to be here next year also, that's an iris, and next to it is an iris which has a contact lens on it. And they put an iris on this contact lens with basically a sticker. And that helps you to trick iris readers. We consider the audit to be very important. As one thing that I'd like to highlight here, the very last one, the last bullet, is the mission-oriented application. It really is important. What kind of tool do we declare to be proper or appropriate? Different devices are required for a server room where you have 5 people who have authorization, and another hall where you have 10,000 people who have to go in within 10 minutes. Let us look at the importance of biometry as a security issue, and of course globally the whole issue of security. I already said this. I'm sure you all know what Stuxnet is. Some conference attendees don't. The bottom line is, if anybody wants to go into a system, they will. The question is, how much resource this is going to need for them. Stuxnet basically started by saying, let's take one uranium enricher centrifuge. That is not something you buy on eBay. They did. And then they bought all sorts of other stuff. But anyway, that's the bottom line. So fundamentally, the technology that we think we want to use, is it vulnerable? Is it exploitable? And if we go beyond the technology, then we have to look at the given device. A card technology could be all sorts of devices. So is the device itself, can you attack that? The device communicates with our software, the software communicates with the database. And what is an important thought, perhaps it's more evident on the next slide, what is very important is that nowadays we have started to see the emergence of IP-based modules that say the comfort of access from your smartphone. I can actually control it. I can control my security from my smartphone. That device is not safe anymore. But let's say someone will be able to do 100% security. It will never happen, but let's say 3, 5, 6, 10 months later, we've actually built it into the home. We say it's 100%, we can control it. 5, 6, 10 months later, TCP/IP bug comes out, or UDP, whatever something within this communication sphere. The electrician or the person who actually put that control board in our alarm in our home, will they come back and refresh the firmware? I don't think they will. You might be clever enough to ask such people. So you have all these actions. You know, zero Hungarian forints if you join our remote security for 3 years. They build you the whole alarm system. The two guys actually come out and they actually have to do it within 3 hours because they have to stay within budget. They will never come back to refresh the firmware. So how does this actually, how is this constituted? Some sort of an endpoint device, let's say entry access points. What is a security system about? To allow authorized users to enter as easily as possible, and those without authorization to keep them out as much as possible. So we say that a personal identification system, PIN code based, it can be card based. I would not go into it because I think what Balázs told you about is by and large true. And also all other biometric solutions, technology is vulnerable. Well, we showed you last year how much it takes to actually manufacture a thumbprint. So what is for example, this device communicates with a control device that will open the door. It's a quasi-secure setup. Perhaps it's much easier for me to attack this communication route. Let it be USB, some sort of a thing that gets the communication down. We actually do such tests. Vegan. It's actually almost an industrial standard by now. It's basically a two-way communication. I've never seen it encrypted. So I can just take the device off the wall, I grab the communication, I'm sure I will enter. Perhaps we will show you this once. Same thing goes for the communication between the control and the software. Usually there are no encryptions between device and softwares. I know somewhere there is encryption, but the majority, 90%, above 90%, you have absolutely no encryption. And I've struck standards out. Softwares of these systems do not comply with any standards whatsoever. I was just telling colleagues here that in one of the rooms that there was this Chinese access system. Hardware is quite good, but the software actually writes text files. They really like it. It's actually text files that they put the users, the authorizations into, and also the messages. In 2012, that is weak. Not to mention that it is only XP. The op system is XP. Sooner or later, they will catch up with the world. Apropos standards, do you know this? The European Conformance CE mark. CE mark, which is the standard that otherwise within the European Union, if anybody has this marking, they are free to sell their device wherever they import it from. And I don't know if you know that from China, from 2006 onwards, China has introduced the China export. I swear this is the case, and perhaps the European Commission started discussing last year that something has to be done about it. Database security. When you see, let's say, security system, not the Chinese one with the text files, you have an MS SQL, and then you have SA, the first user without a password, SA user without password. Biometric technologies, fast, fast, fast. Time is running out. Last year we showed you the fingerprint IDs. Today we will talk about VEAN scans and other techniques that we're still looking forward to. VEAN identification. In human bodies, this is relevant. There are, of course, blood vessels in everybody's, and these are unique individually. This is mathematically proven that this is a time invariant from small to adult age, is a unique identifier of people, doesn't change, can be identified. So I go back here. How can we extract it into automatic identification systems? Human eye goes until about 700 nanometers of light, different intensities. This is because of the structure of the eye. The camera that we use, whatever camera, stills camera, normal camera, whatever camera, sees way beyond this, sees into the infra range, and that is why in every camera there is a filter, because it would distort colors otherwise. If we would not be cutting down the image from this part onwards, it would actually distort the picture. So, going back into identification, poor rat. I don't know how interested this is. Basically, you can actually, and then how this works actually. This is actually a palm vein scan. This is what the camera sees under infralight. You can see that, you can already see the veins, the blood vessels, and it actually prepares this sort of a pattern that it stores down and then compares. And then this is where I ask my colleagues to start working the magic, and I want that volunteer to also come and lend us their hands. Okay, thank you very much. So I'd like to tell you, by all means, if you're out of time or not, this is something that István developed, device. It has this has a high performance infra light, and a device that all sorts of gears, etc., an automatic focus setting for a web camera on which he hacked the infra filter, and then now we can really show you what you get to see. So this is the picture that the box sees, and if you look, you can really see the veins there. That is what the infra picture sees, and my colleagues will try to set the focus of this picture. Can you see it from the distance? Tell me if you're done. Okay. Thank you for lending us your hand, that you were not afraid that it would be bitten off, or we would tell you your future, give you a fortune cookie. Let's go on. So we saw the vein, the blood vessel map. How does the algorithm work? It's 4 pictures, left side and right side, so A, C, B, D. If we have a pattern, and in the system, a stored pattern, and if we superpose what the system saw, This is basically actually the dorsal part of the hand, so the back part of the hand. If of course the picture is not good, the pixels fall apart. What kind of manufacturers are there? Three major ones that we can identify. There's some others, but they don't sell. It's quite interesting. You can't buy, rather. It's interesting for biometric identification. For example, there is something, iris identifier, that the manufacturer says 2.5 meters away, 660 people within 2 hours, even if they're wearing sunglasses. We asked, okay, we'd like to test it. They said, okay, $150,000 first. So anyway, going back, Fujitsu was the first and perhaps the largest manufacturer. We will be actually testing Fujitsu. Hitachi is the other one, which is different in that Fujitsu goes for the whole palm, whereas the Hitachi is actually going at fingers, and also going with a bit different technology. And the third one is NEC, although I've just heard about them that they are using Hitachi sensors. We will check them. We actually have NEC devices. We haven't tested them yet.
According to Fujitsu's description, and I'd like to draw your attention to that, the biometric pattern is very difficult to be tricked. Therefore, it is highly secure. There is also a Hungarian hit for that technology. What we wanted to find here is that this is looking at the flow of hemoglobin, and it uses infrared light. And then we have two devices. One is PCS, which is a German manufacturer manufacturing such devices. István, would you please just demonstrate how it works? We need the software of this device. Okay. So what happens? Unfortunately, we cannot project it on the canvas because we don't have enough sufficient number of connectors. So put there a hand which is okay, access denied, but the other one is going to give you an even better view. You can see where the hemoglobin flows within the veins. We are then identifying, okay, identification done, and our next experiment is going to be to see what this device does. If you have a rubber glove on your hand, we have developed a special rubber glove. Okay, now this is the rubber glove. We went to the pharmacy, okay? Actually, a lot of tests have been done. We did a lot of tests before this demonstration, and we drew something on it, like, you know, a smiley and a hobby and everything, because that appeared to be funny. And let's see what the device is going to do, how it's going to react. Please tell us the identification with your hand, okay, this is identified. This is hello István Milák, it says the name, okay? So if he puts there his right hand, okay, you put the glove there, but put it on. Okay, so he's going to put on the glove. It's going to be quite difficult for him because he has a stage fever. It's the first time that he's on the stage, and therefore his palm is sweating. But he will manage to put it on. If not, then it's his fault. Thank you, he said. You're welcome. Okay, anyway, we're not going to get stuck here. Okay. So let's see what happens with the glove, the rubber glove. It goes much better if you do not do it on stage. You see? Look, it was a glove, and with the glove he managed to get access. So the important thing is that it says it's the name. Look at the name that will appear. The name that will appear is not István Milák, it will says rubber glove on a palm. But I think you can see the point that this was different than it was just a minute ago. The problem is that we don't see the picture for long enough. The next device is going to give you the whole scan. Okay, let's not. I hope once you saw it, we might be able to show you again. But let's see what happens with the glove if it's just in itself. Okay, that's registered, so use that glove because that's already registered. Okay, so you have to keep playing around with it a little bit in order to get it functioning, up and running. Now, theoretically, it is already a problem that it tells you that I will start identification because, of course, hopefully we'll get a better picture. Well, let's not get stuck. István is going to find out the problem, but let's go to the other device. I think that is going to be interesting as well. I promise that in the next 9 minutes we are going to demonstrate to you that it works, or we will chop the finger of István as we learned it from the Yakuza. So let's go back to the other screen. István, please just try to troubleshoot that, okay? Because when we rehearsed it in the morning, it was working. Probably this is about sweat and this is about tension and stage fever. Anyway, it's a similar sensor, but this is the sensor is inbuilt in a mouse, and this helps you to log into your computer. This is Arnold who is going to show this to you. Hopefully he's going to be more successful than István was. Now, how does this work, Arnold? He's now going to launch the software, which is the hand palm vein identification software. He is going to use the pattern that is already registered. You can see the picture here. Was this the access denied? Yes, this was the access denied. Okay, so what happens? Thank you. Is that this is going to show you the picture of the hand. And actually, this is also communicated by the manufacturer that this is one of the best sensors available, the most secure and the best, I can assure you. So the point is that it will start giving you the picture, depicting the picture of the hand, and then it will tell you whether access is allowed or denied, whether it was successful or not, the identification. Now, András's hand was not in. Let's look at Arnold's hand. That is successful, you can see. So what will now happen, and this is what we want to show you, is that we made pictures of the person who volunteered just a moment ago. So we made photos, pictures of his hand, which he didn't know, he was not aware of. Okay. So this was the guy who volunteered just a couple of minutes ago. We used the infra camera to make shots, to make pictures of his hand. We made a lot, but we are just going to use that one. First of all, we are going to put it into negative. And then we are going to process the picture, like, you know, we are going to adjust the gamma correction, contrast, and so forth. So we manipulate, retouch and manipulate the picture, so to say, and then we will print this image. While it is printing out, let me just go back to to what extent it is secure. Fujitsu is selling this sensor alone. You know, there's you got an SD card, you got an SDK for the developers, you have a USB cable, and then it works very well. So it really works very well. You obviously need computing power, a powerful computer, so that they can find the people in the database. But what comes out is very carefully overthought in terms of security standpoint. There's also a hash code added to the data. So if I have a server anywhere in the world, when I'm using the hand palm vein pattern of a certain person, that is something that I won't be able to use it elsewhere. I mean, the same pattern and the same code. So what is happening here meanwhile? We're waiting for the printout. Okay, we still have 4 minutes. And what is Arnold doing in backstage? Now, this is why there's a lot of us. Oh, there was no paper in the printer. Okay, good. Now, let me tell you further. So we contacted Fujitsu. Actually, they contacted us because during the course of a previous presentation, one of the Hungarian banks that wants to install this system, they mentioned that they saw this, that we had a successful demonstration at that time, and the Hungarian NEC was quite positive. They had a positive approach. They said that we said we were going to communicate this and then make a campaign in Europe. I also have to tell you that their new sensor, which we didn't have the opportunity to test because we cannot test all the sensors and all the devices. Whatever the university can obtain and purchase will be obtained, and then we test it. But the point here is that it is conceivable that it's not the sensor itself that has a problem, but the software. So if we have a firewall and then I do not set the firewall properly or adjust the firewall properly, then I should not be surprised to see that it doesn't work properly. Now, I see you managed to print it out, which is a fantastic achievement today. So now we printed out this photo of the hand, this image, and then Arnold cut it out, and we will try to register it in this system. It is important to say that we haven't gone as far as registering someone's hand for real, and then make a print of that hand, and then print it out and try to manipulate with that. So this is just to say that we are not, there are no artists working here. So if anyone has an artistic stance, then that person might be able to draw it very nicely. So let's see what the problem is. Now it starts. I'm not going to promise that it will work, but we already have already registered pages. So now it will try to scan and register this pattern. You can believe me that if this is looking hemoglobin, then we should see nothing, because obviously the print has no hemoglobin flowing in it, okay? So if the sensor was really checking the hemoglobin, it shouldn't be working. Tamás, we have 1 minute, so Arnold, if it doesn't work, let's use the registered one. Because meanwhile, the rubber glove is also working, which I promised to you. Okay, it's here. I know what the problem is. The headlight is going into the sensor. That's right, yeah. Okay, so now it starts working fine. Now, the fact that it's denied such a palm is denied, that means that the device has already made a photo, made a picture, already scanned it in. Now, how could it scan it in if it's not it's not actually the hand of a living person? So it is scanning just a pattern, and therefore, because this is not the hand of a living creature. So all the algorithms that are in these sensors or any device, they cannot do anything else just to say something of the pattern of the sample that we are scanning in. So all of these security systems, what they do is first they check whether it's a living sample or not. And once I'm in the algorithm, now I don't know if you managed to see it, but Arnold managed to scan in this hand, this paper print, when the lighting conditions were good, they were successful. Let's look at it now. Okay, now we managed to do it again. Now, very quickly, let's just look at the rubber glove, because I promised that, and then we are going to finish off. Yeah, it says, "Hi there, Abi glove." So István is not there. You see, this is the glove. So the rubber glove is on the sensor, and the sensor is trying to identify it. You see, welcome Abby glove, this is what it says. So if you find the right position, then there is a successful identification. And let me say in conclusion that this is a very good sensor. The devices might not be good, I don't know. Our job is to say what the device can do. And I hope that we managed to demonstrate that the hemoglobin was measured in the rubber glove and in the paper print, the hard copy. This is what we wanted to tell you. Thank you very much for your kind attention.